Whether it's confronting those accused in crimes,
money for this, money for that, and we were giving it to him.
Exposing environmental injustice.
Yes, we're angry because it was well known and kept from us.
Seeking accountability.
How is the county going to address that given the issues that are in that community right now?
And digging deep for the buried stories waiting to be told.
How in the hell can you dig a foundation and not hit nothing to know that this is graves here?
This is the best of 10 Investigates 2025.
Thanks for watching. I'm Courtney Robinson. Our award-winning 10 Investigates team works tirelessly to bring you the stories that matter and the search for solutions. First up, the quest for justice for an erased black cemetery buried under a Clearwater business. A story 10 Investigates' Emerald Morrow has tracked since 2019.
Courtney, right now that business says it is trying to do the right thing by the community, but pushback from the city landed both parties in court. And now the souls of St. Matthews hang in the balance. Matt Crum wants Clearwater to be a city of its word.
They need to do the right thing. And frankly, this is the point of small city, county government, is to deal with things like this. And they're just absent.
Over the last 5 years, archaeologists have found 328 graves from the St. Matthews Baptist Church Cemetery at the Frank Crum headquarters and under Missouri Avenue. Crum says initial commitments from the city to address this grave dilemma have faltered.
We haven't made as much progress as we thought we would have.
Now, Frank Crum is suing the Clearwater Redevelopment Agency. The lawsuit says the CRA breached a 1998 development agreement, which promised the previous owner that all graves had been moved. But Frank Crum didn't know about the graves because it didn't buy the property until 2004.
IMR Global found out that at one point there was a cemetery here, and they said, if we're going to go forward with this, we need you guys to guarantee that all the remains that were here were removed. And so the city put in that agreement, yes, we guarantee and warranty that all the remains that were here had been removed.
But as we know, they were not.
It's pathetic. I mean, we're talking about generations of history and remains that need to be memorialized. That was where
Barbara Story Love grew up in the Clearwater Heights community where this cemetery was first established. She's part of a group working with Frank Crum and the city to find a solution.
My sister was buried here.
So is Carlton Childs.
I'm tired of not getting answers. I'm tired of not seeing any progress. We're tired of hearing the same thing over and over.
Over the years, city managers have repeated promises to be part of the solution and took early action to help search for the graves when the community raised concerns. But the manager most involved suddenly died. His replacement appeared just as committed, but got fired. And now there seems to be a change of attitude from the top.
There are many ways that this problem can be solved. As far as using taxpayer money to do some things, that's a difficult challenge for us, is use the taxpayers' money.
It's an unsatisfactory answer for Crum.
I personally think that it's the responsibility of local government to step in when your citizens, an issue like this has happened.
Do you blame the city for this?
At this point, I do.
Crum wants the graves moved from his property to the North Greenwood Cemetery. That's where graves were supposed to go way back in 1940 when the city stopped burials at St. Matthews. The only problem is North Greenwood sits under the old Curtis Fundamental School, where crews found more than 50 graves after our reporting. Some people want the school torn down so those resting souls can be free.
How in the hell can you dig a foundation and not hit nothing to know that this is graves here? Why did you continue to build?
A question only the past can answer. But for now,
no one can take back the wrong that was done. We can only move forward and make it right. And I think we all have a responsibility to work together to do that.
And Frank Crum's case against the Clearwater CRA is still playing out in court.
Now, this is just one of several sites across the Tampa Bay area where archaeologists have found hundreds of graves from destroyed black cemeteries under apartments, schools, and businesses.
This year marked a major milestone for the redevelopment of Robles Park Village in Tampa as crews started the demolition in Emerald. You were there when graves from Zion Cemetery were uncovered starting in 2019.
Yeah, Courtney, that's right. And this was the first erased cemetery that was discovered in the Bay Area. And fast forward 6 years, that discovery accelerated the timeline to redevelop this aging housing complex. Now, for perspective, Zion is only under 32 of the more than 400 units. Those buildings will not be touched until archaeologists finalize a separate plan. And you can watch our Emmy Award-winning continuing coverage of the search for these erased cemeteries across the Bay Area on 10tampabay.com/erased.
For decades, they drank contaminated well water without knowing.
It was well known and kept from us.
Next, 10 Investigates uncovers the new toxic threats facing this small community that could eventually impact you. This next investigation takes us to Manatee County, where a small town faces more threats of contamination more than 20 years after learning an old beryllium plant polluted 200 acres of groundwater. 10 Investigates Emerald Morrow uncovers the new hazards, what's being done, and why decades later, some say it is still not enough.
The eye doesn't see, and the nose can't smell. The trouble in the water of Talavast's well.
My name is Walter Bryant.
These are the names, and these are the faces. Welcome to Talavast.
Not realizing that I was bathing in toxic stuff.
So this investigation got its start last year when I found out that researchers at the University of South Florida got a $500,000 grant from the EPA to study pollution in Talavast. And that's a really small majority African-American community in unincorporated Manatee County.
Christian Wells, professor of anthropology. The community of Talavast
That's my brother, yeah.
is a neighborhood
Now I'm gonna do my thing.
of surprisingly
You're going to be 18 years old in 2 months.
happy, upbeat, close, family-related people that have this really horrible past of drinking contaminated well water for a long time.
Irvin Smith. I was born and raised in Talavast, Florida.
The water flowing from this tap hasn't always been safe.
You know, they should have said something.
For years, Smith worked at a now shuttered beryllium plant, exposed to toxic chemicals that troubled Talavast for decades, where most people were on wells.
I've lost a lot of family, sisters, from cancer. My dad, he passed away with cancer.
At one point, data showed that people who lived in Talavast after 1962 for 10 or more years and used well water were more than 8 times more likely to develop cancer.
My mom, she had the cancer, and my brothers, all of us ended up with the prostate cancer.
Walter Bryant worked at the plant. So did Beatrice Ziegler's husband, who died after a bout with berylliosis.
Boy, I miss my husband. I had a good man.
Lockheed Martin, which took over the plant property in 1996, notified the state of the contamination in 2000, but neither told the community. It was years before neighbors knew they'd been drinking contaminated well water.
Me personally, I always gonna go back to color our skin.
No one seemed to care about Talavast. I don't know why.
And about a block from those tracks is where our investigation picks back up.
Paul Maxwell, senior geologist.
Maxwell is one of the scientists working through that EPA grant. He's sampling monitoring wells his company installed at 15 Talavast homes over the last few months. The testing doesn't replace what the state requires of Lockheed Martin, but it's an extra layer of knowledge and protection for this community.
Collecting some groundwater samples.
Groundwater that can also impact air quality.
There's vapors that the groundwater emits, essentially, which we call soil gas.
Through public records, I got a copy of Lockheed Martin's most recent report to the state. It shows an increase in groundwater chemicals at concentrations above the target cleanup level. It also shows the groundwater plume has started to spread. Records say the company has cleaned dozens of acres of pollution, but the plume still covers more than 100 acres of land. An independent review of that report says there needs to be urgent action to stop further contamination. What's at risk if nobody stands up to help Talabast?
People will continue to die of cancer.
My name is Sandra Otero, and I moved to Talabast almost 3 years ago.
But she didn't know about the contamination.
No one told me anything. Hardly anything lives on my plants. It's weird, they die. I don't even leave my dog out here too long because I'm afraid.
As for the faces of Talabast, the push continues for clean water, air, and soil. In Talabast, the town they call home. Right now, it's estimated that cleanup for this community will take 100 years if no one takes more action. We also learned the 2024 hurricanes caused this plume to spread, a big concern for people in the area who rely on septic systems and have overflows when it rains.
On this side of the track, we don't have sewer. We all still have septic tanks. However, the new businesses that have been built here, they have sewer.
We took these concerns to Manatee County leaders who once had grant money to help install sewers for everyone.
The county cannot bear the cost of putting in all that, the tie-ins, the mini lift stations, the forced sewer system. The cost is in the millions, and the county can't afford to do that.
The question now, is that accurate? 10 Investigates continues to follow the money and seek accountability for this community.
For years, a Florida real estate company has been accused of locking homeowners into 40-year listing contracts and putting liens on their homes.
We're still trying to recover.
A major victory for the state in its legal battle against MB Realty. What it means for families next. He's accused of taking tens of thousands of dollars for construction jobs and never finishing the work.
Our house was to the studs.
And in an exclusive investigation, Emerald Morrow found Jason Wallace of Pasco County didn't even have a license to do much of the construction work people hired him to do. Wallace faced multiple criminal charges across Pasco and Hillsborough counties. After this report, he was ordered to pay restitution in 2 cases, and the state's Department of Business and Professional Regulation fined him for unlicensed contracting. Every year, we hear from dozens of homeowners who say a contractor hasn't finished the job. From home renos to pool installs. One of the best ways to prevent this is to check the state's license lookup. It'll show you if the license is current and any complaints against it. We've posted links on how to check on our 10 Tampa Bay app. A major victory in the state attorney general's case against a South Florida real estate brokerage accused of locking homeowners into 40-year listing contracts and putting liens on their homes. 10 Investigates Emerald Morrow shows you why it's a big win for homeowners too.
Month after month.
Because of them, we almost lost our house.
And year after year.
This is horrible that they can do this to people.
We've brought you story after story of homeowners stuck in 40-year listing contracts that seemed impossible to escape.
It was stressful. It was a rough road.
A road more than 9,000 Florida homeowners found themselves on after signing up for MB Realty's homeowner benefit program.
They offered to give us like $860 to be our realtor.
Signing the contract also meant a memorandum like this, filed against your property in county records. The Attorney General sued the company in 2022. Our cameras have been the only ones tracking the in-court case.
The memorandum of homeowner benefit agreement serves to tell the public about these obligations, thus effectively acting like a lien and stopping people from being able to close their home transactions.
But after a lengthy court battle, a major victory for the state.
and for struggling homeowners. The state says MV Realty has filed terminations on all 9,000 properties to clear homeowners' titles.
Your Honor, I can confirm that we have recorded all of the terminations in the version 1 format that the Attorney General wanted us to record.
10 Investigates searched records in Pasco, Pinellas, Polk, Hillsborough, Manatee, and Sarasota counties and found thousands of terminations, including ones for homeowners we've interviewed over the last 2 years.
This memorandum is hereby terminated and of no further force or effect. How does that make you feel?
Awesome. Awesome. God is good.
Cheryl Taylor Clements could not access a home equity loan while she and her husband were undergoing cancer treatments because she signed an agreement with MV Realty. Today, she has hope that this termination will get her and her family one step closer to financial freedom.
We're still trying to recover, still trying to get our lives back together.
The state has also taken steps to keep MV Realty from doing this to other homeowners. Records show where the Department of Business and Professional Regulation revoked real estate licenses for the company and its owners, a move some attorneys representing homeowners say should have happened sooner.
DBPR, the Department of Business and Professional Regulation, and the realty organizations were just far too soft in not dealing with this. The Florida Association of Realtors and the Real Estate Licensing Board has a duty to protect consumers and not the license holders. And in this case, they waited way too long to stand up for consumers.
MV Realty has pushed its business model into states all across the country. Multiple attorneys general have filed lawsuits. In Pennsylvania, a trial is set for January. We've reached out to the company and its attorney for comment, but we haven't heard back.
And also in this case, we have confirmed that the state is pursuing restitution for impacted homeowners.
They do happen too frequently. And when they happen, they're a serious matter.
Their bad airport behavior can start fights, hold up lines, and in some cases cause security concerns. Next, 10 investigates why more airport police are investing in body cams. He got through TSA with a loaded gun, causing panic at Tampa International Airport. But guns aren't the only problem. 10 Investigates, Emerald Morrow is tracking the changes to keep you safe and bad behavior in check.
Can you have a seat right there, please?
It's the aftermath of a scene that put Tampa on high alert. Airport police arresting Abraham Yakub, who got a loaded Glock 19 through TSA screening in August 2023.
It moved out of the X-ray tunnel, and then the individual grabbed the bag and then ran.
Yakub is now serving a 3-year sentence after pleading guilty on federal charges of entering an airport with intent to commit a felony and attempting to board an aircraft with a concealed, dangerous weapon.
This incident forced evacuations and fueled a whole lot of fear. So we went straight to TSA asking, what has changed?
The agency says it's added new automatic screening lanes. If machines detect weapons, they move the bags into a high-threat box away from passengers until law enforcement can respond. 10 Investigates also uncovered TSA is catching more guns at security checkpoints.
We've seen a sharp rise, and year over year, we're already exceeding firearm carries coming through the airport.
Grab your stuff.
But weapons aren't the only problem.
No, I'm not.
10 Investigates found more airports across our area are investing in body cams.
I want to talk to you.
Capturing the unruly passengers holding up lines, causing fights, and impacting your travel.
We do our best not to arrest people, but sometimes they just ask to be arrested.
Shut up.
Like this man.
Kids here, they don't need to hear that.
TSA had to stop screening due to his yelling
You guys ruined my whole trip.
and combative behavior. He was charged with disorderly conduct and resisting an officer without violence. His case is still moving through the courts.
Bad behavior, of course, the immediate effects of you're probably going to jail. And then there's long-term effects at TSA. They may put you on a no-fly list.
Tampa International has an independent police force which has had body cams since 2022. St. Pete Clearwater hires deputies with body-worn cameras through the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. In Sarasota, Bradenton Airport recently signed a 5-year body cam contract for its officers.
Badge number, please, sir.
I already told you that.
No,
I already told you
I
that.
couldn't hear you.
So my decision to go to body cameras wasn't based on the fact that everybody has them. It's smart policing these days.
And an objective third eye, the chief says.
Parked in a no parking zone.
In this case, airport police say a man got upset after they asked him to move his car from a designated limo lane as he waited for his child, who he said has special needs.
Where's your son right now? And your special needs son that you're talking
Probably
about?
in your hole.
Mm-hmm. We've had enough.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had enough. Put your hands behind your back.
After refusing to move, he was arrested, ticketed, and cited for disorderly conduct. Court records say he's requested a civil review.
The body cameras are a piece of equipment that we use that holds my officer accountable, but it also holds the public accountable.
An investment airport police say is worth the cost. SRQ spent about $150,000 on body cams and in-car cameras.
Don't do that.
Tampa International spent more than $500,000 and used forfeiture funds to cover the cost.
While the number of unruly passenger reports nationwide is down from its peak of more than 5,900 back in 2021, the FAA reports there were 2,100 incidents in 2024. And those types of incidents tend to peak during the holiday travel season. And you can watch more of our in-depth investigations just like this one streaming right now on 10 Tampa Bay Plus.
Watch news, weather, or 10 Investigates when you want 24/7. Thanks for watching.